Sebastian, why have you come against us?
We want our drummer back.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel here. My name is Rob.
And I'm Brian.
Today we're going to be reviewing Aquaman. I watched this about a week and a half ago. Brian, I think you just saw it a couple days ago. I decided to check this one out. I personally was a little disenfranchised after the first Justice League, which if you guys have not watched our channel before, we just did a video about Zack Snyder's Justice League. After I saw the original Joss Whedon, I didn't really have any interest in any more DC movies. But after watching that, I decided to go and visit this one. And today we're going to talk about it, give you our opinions on that. I'm going to say that I thought Aquaman was probably a much better movie than it deserved to be. Being that it's, Aquaman. I mean, come on, he's always been the butt of jokes. I mean, SNL, how many different places have made fun of Aquaman? Jerry Seinfeld's done bits on him. He's just kind of goofy, in theory. Now, the comics have changed that in, recent years. And I say recent, probably the last 20. But, I haven't really read a lot of comics since I was a kid. The Justice League cartoon, definitely, this is closer to that take on Aquaman, but maybe a more of a blend of the two personalities. But what did you think about this movie, Brian?
I thought this movie was fantastic. It had everything. You had Asgard with Bubbles. You had Tron Fish, underwater Shredder. He-Man even made an appearance in this thing. It was just an extravaganza. They didn't jump the shark in this film. They just put lasers on the shark and rode that bad boy. That was my take on Aquaman.
Yeah, I mean, tonally, I think it was a little all over the place. When it first started, I got to say, Nicole Kidman and Jango Fett there with his horrible wig. When they started off the fight in there, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cheesy fighting. It's kind of, we're going back to like 90s Daredevil as far as the tone of the movie. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. But as it got going and I kind of got immersed in the world of the movie, it was a lot of fun. It's everything that I want out of a summer blockbuster film.
Yeah. And don't you think Nicole Kidman was de-aging well?
I know. I think she's been de-aging herself. She started before Marvel got into the de-aging game. But yeah, she looked, I don't know if she was de-aged or not because she's been looking younger every year. But like I said, she looked great. I thought Tamara Morrison looked a little funny. It took me a while to realize that was Boba Fett. But yeah, I mean, he's good. She was fine. I mean, not a surprise she wasn't dead, I guess. I don't know if I saw that coming or if I just forgot about her. But Ocean Master, I thought he was good. I probably would say the weak link character wise for me would have been Black Manta.
Yeah,
I felt he was probably the weakest actor. It was weird. They tried to give him some heart and soul with his dad, who stops in the middle of a submarine heist to talk to him about the honor and everything amongst their family. Right after they got done killing a bunch of people, it was cheesy. It was still in that cheesy action, but his look was awesome. I mean, he looked just like the guy, the big bubble head. They even gave him a reason to go bigger on the bubble head. They're like, well, we could tone it down. They were like, nope, we're going all out. We want the big fishbowl helmet up on there. And he looked cool.
Well, and when he made that big helmet, I started laughing because Depeche Mode came off of that phaser sound. I think that's kind of super cheesy, but I love it because I like the song.
I think if he's going to be in the sequel, because I think that's where they set it up, that he's going to be in the sequel, and I imagine Ocean Master will take a back seat to just like Loki did in Thor. Easiest comparison, obviously, is Thor. Note for note, this is very similar to Thor. You got a parent who you think's dead, and then it turns out they're not dead. A brother who's betraying you. I mean, a lot of it's the same. I would think that Ocean Master would be the bad guy plotting in the background who hasn't really made up with his brother, and Black Manta would take up the lead. I think he's got to step up his game, but we're not here to talk about the future. We're here to talk about this movie. How about the rest of the supporting cast? I got to say, after seeing Willem Dafoe in Snyder Cut, I liked him a lot better in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the long hair didn't quite suit him. It just felt a little off. I liked it, pulled back a little tighter. He looked a little bit less goofy. Um, I thought his character was fine. Nothing really wrong. Willem Dafoe's always a win for me.
Hmm.
So he can play creepy. He looks like a fish man, just like he looked like the Green Goblin. He doesn't really look human.
William
So
Dafoe. If you want a creature, but you don't want makeup, pick William Dafoe.
yeah, I think with Spider-Man, that's the biggest mistake they made. Just paint his face green. He looks like the Green Goblin. He doesn't need a Power Ranger suit.
Right.
Mara, I know there's a lot of controversy about the actress that played Mara, Johnny Depp's wife, throwing
Hmm.
him under the bus, making up allegations, kind of trying to cancel him. And I know there's a big fan push to get her removed from the next movie. I don't think
Yeah.
that's happened. I don't think Warner Brothers made any announcements. I thought she was just fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know her from anything. If I've seen her in something in the past, I don't remember it.
I
She's
think
an actress.
I liked her character better in the Snyder cut than this one, though. And I mean, I know he
Is it
gave
because
her
she was British in that version?
no, I just, well, you're probably right. It's probably the accent.
Volker told me you would come. The firstborn of beloved Queen Atlanta.
Maybe that just upped her game a little bit. Maybe you just
Yeah.
add a British accent and all of a sudden you're a better actress or actor. That's probably all it is, because it made her feel a little more regal. Where in this one, while she had powers and she was a strong character, she still felt like, Indiana Jones girl, if you will.
Sure. Indiana Jones' girlfriend from the first movie, but with more purpose. Because
Right.
she was our walking exposition. She was the one laying out what's going on, the thing here, the thing. I thought they had okay chemistry. I liked their little side quest through Italy and Egypt. It felt like the Mummy for a little while as they're walking through the sand. And I
Mhm.
think for me, I know people might not have thought this was funny, but when she draws the drop of water out of his head and he goes,
Mhm.
"Oh, you could have just peed on it."
Yes.
That was great. That was probably the funniest line in that whole movie. And
uh,
these movies have not been known for their humor, mostly because they've been made by Zack Snyder. I think Wonder Woman had some funny moments and stuff. And, Zack Snyder's got some humor sprinkled throughout, but this was obviously a lot more like a Marvel movie. I think that's what
yeah.
they asked James Wan to do. Go make us a Marvel movie, but on an epic scale. That's where we end up in the mix, where some stuff seems a little tongue in cheek and other stuff is like Lord of the Rings epic.
Right. Right. I think that was the biggest problem with this, is they're just trying to do too much. That final battle scene with the crustaceans and the rest of the ocean, the other 6 kingdoms or realms, it was just so overwhelming
Yeah.
to see all that. I wasn't impressed. I didn't know where to look, in certain places. That being said, I think a highlight of that battle scene, though, was when Mira came and Aquaman and Mira kiss, like just the way that looked as the camera is moving around them. That was a magical shot. That was another thing that was true about this film. There were a lot of fantastic things to see, but then it was just piecemealed together in a way that just felt a little disjointed. You felt like you were jumping around genres and stories.
Yeah, that
Uh,
scene where they were jumping down into the trench
yeah,
and light that and had the flare that
yeah.
burns underwater. Do flares burn underwater? I don't know.
I
I don't know
don't
if
know
flares
either.
burn underwater. Well, maybe they'll burn, but I don't know if you could light them underwater because they lit a second torch or flare underwater. I guess I'd have to look into that. So if anybody
Right.
watching this video knows, can you light a flare underwater? Drop it in the comments. I'm not really going to go research it because I don't care that much. But it was a really cool shot, as they're
Yeah, it
going
was.
down and then the camera pans back and you see a billion trench creatures that are going in after them.
Yeah,
And then we
yeah.
get, Nicole Kidman comes back as a fish monster, which was
Yes.
cool. Very Michelle Pfeiffer in Ant-Man 2.
I was
It was
gonna say that.
exactly,
You stole my thunder with that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And that scene where they're dropping the light down, it kind of reminded me of the end of Thor Ragnarok, when Thor blasts Hela and then he's coming down against all that sea of people and he just smashes down on the Rainbow Bridge. You know what I'm
yes.
talking about? like it was something like that. There just, yeah, there were definitely a lot of those moments where there was just, you knew you were looking at something epic. It just wasn't attached to something epic.
Now, I like this movie a lot. I really did. I'll rewatch it someday. I like it. But we're here to pick it apart a little bit, not just praise it. But Ocean Master's plan was to unite the armies of the ocean by going around and killing everybody. It was a bit messed up of a plan. He's like, I want you to fight with me. And they're like, I don't know if I want to fight with you. And he kills them and he says, all right, you guys are fighting with me now.
Right.
Go, and then he goes, all right, I'm going to take the Krusty Krab people and they're going to come fight with us now. And we're going to go to war and kill them all. And even then, Aquaman comes back with the Balrog of the sea and kills how many people? I mean, he kills so many fish people in that scene coming up with that monster. And then they all unite around him afterwards. Like, he's the king. Like,
right.
You just killed like 100,000 people,
Right.
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, people that got down on Superman for not stopping buildings from falling in Man of Steel. It's funny how tone makes a big difference here, because Aquaman was directly responsible for killing all of these people. There's sharks are getting stepped on and people are, everything's just blowing up left and right. They're blowing up, ships, underwater ships and things like that. And then it's a moment of celebration. I just thought that was odd. I'm like, man, they're not going to like him too much after this. But instead they all, bow.
We got our king back. Yeah.
Right. We got the king. And they're like, who is this guy? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was very reminiscent of also Avatar. It really reminded me of Avatar when he comes flying in on the big creature to unite everybody. And they did the exact same plot point here, where he unites them by riding in on the Krusty Krab, and they're all whatever that thing was called. I don't remember what it was called, but
Yeah. I like Balrog of the Sea. That's a good one.
Balrog of the Sea. Kind of reminds me of tuna, chicken of the sea, But yeah, I mean, that's I just thought that was crazy that they all rallied around him after that, when he just murdered so many people. Like, I could have just come up in between them. Maybe that would have been a thing for me. If he'd have rose up in between the armies as they were clashing and kind of stopped it. Okay, some things are going to crash into him, but he was actively stepping on them and throwing things at them, and a little bit much on the death portion of it. But we didn't dwell on it, so whatever.
Well, maybe he didn't have full control over her, because they were having a conversation. Maybe she was just like, yeah, I'll take you up there, but I'm hungry, so I'm gonna destroy some things and eat some fish.
Sure. But that was where I think Avatar maybe did a little better, because he didn't really have full control over that thing either, which went around eating other smaller ones out of the sky. Everybody was afraid of it. They just flew in. He just flew in, says, here I am. We didn't have to have all that destruction, but it still looked cool. And the fight scenes were incredible. There was awesome fight choreography in here. And that's what I want out of these movies. Show me something I've never seen before. It's a superhero origin story without being an origin story, because he was already developed. We had already had 2 movies with this character, so we didn't really need to find out everything. And they told it in flashbacks in a way that was better than Man of Steel. It was more organic to the story, and I think it was a pretty good movie.
Did you get the Arthurian legend aspect of that? Like that trident he was going after, it was kind of like Excalibur.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they took every single genre and just mashed them all up.
Right.
They were like, all right, you want gods, you want mythology, you want space travel. I mean, you could say, all right, what did it remind you of? Lord of the Rings? Yeah, it did a little bit. Did it remind you of Avatar? Yeah, it did a little bit. Did it remind you of Thor? Yeah, quite a bit.
Right. Did it remind you of Tron?
Yeah, I mean, they still managed to have some goofier moments in there with the octopus playing the drums. I thought that was cool, which came out of the comics. I mean, I will say, in the comic books, there's a octopus they played or trained to play instruments. So Well, the guy paid attention to the source material at least.
Well, yeah. Well, I thought, that was there just, paying homage to the Little Mermaid or something like that, along with Mira looking like Ariel.
Yeah.
It's got something for everybody. Even the little Disney princesses that we're watching had some.
Sure. Why not? That movie had a little something for everybody,
Right. We keep coming back to this, that it's just like somebody threw in a bunch of genres and tropes into a blender and just saw what came out. And then we had ourselves Aquaman. It's like, let's do all of this, but underwater. It's been about 20 years now. There was a short film that I saw at a film festival called Script Doctor. And it kind of plays with some of these same things. And I would love to see that. So if anybody out there sees or knows where that is, if you could help us find it, that would be great. It's like going to the doctor's office to help you write your movie. The last part of the movie, and I know I'm ruining this short film, so but I'd love to see it again if somebody could point it out. But anyway, at the last of the movie, they're in the ER and they're trying to save like Batman 4. Right after Batman and Robin came out. It was terrible. And they're like, all right, let's throw those South Park kids in and let's do a T-Rex, let's pull from Jurassic Park. And then finally it just flatlines. They're like, we lost it. This is one of my favorite short films. But I feel like this movie wasn't bad, but that's what it reminds me of. They just took so much and just crammed it in to this story.
Well, I mean, yeah. How many times are you going to give Aquaman a shot at the theater? If you're Warner Brothers and you want to bankroll a $250 million budget, right? I don't know how much this costs, but probably there. How many times are you going to go with Aquaman before you go, all right, Aquaman's never coming back? Well, he's like your Ant-Man, Ant-Man, Aquaman, they're both kind of there. Like, okay, people have heard of them. They're recognizable names, but it's not Superman, it's not Batman. You can make a bad Batman movie and 5 years down the road make a great Batman movie and people are going to go see it. But if they're turned off by Aquaman as a character now, you're never going to make that Aquaman money, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's true. You got one shot with those kind of characters.
How many movies can you pump out about Aquaman dealing with, guys with fish problems?
Right. Right. Or we're polluting the ocean and we needed to stop messages.
Right. Well, that was Ocean Master's whole plan, right? They're polluting the water. We got to invade. But nobody knows
but you solved the problem. You shoved all the garbage right back on the land. I mean, problem solved. We know. Oh, okay. Well, magical people from the ocean are throwing our garbage back at us. So maybe that's not a good option anymore.
Or maybe come up to the surface and hold a press conference and be like, hey, people live down here.
Right.
Like nobody knew they existed for some reason.
Right.
All right. So final thoughts here. What would you rate Aquaman?
Aquaman, I would say, is a 6 or a 7 for me.
I think a 6, I would say is a okay movie. If it's a 5 or below, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Masters of the Universe is like a 2. But so if Masters of the Universe is a 2, just on production of value alone, I got to give Aquaman a 7. Right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I could see
it's
that.
It's not fantastic. I mean, nobody's going to be talking about Aquaman in 20 years. I mean, it's not like Star Wars or something like that. It's going to have this legacy that lives on. It's a good movie. Could have been a little better. Could have been a hell of a lot worse.
It's true. It could have been a lot worse. Yeah.
Yeah. It could have been off. It had, as I said at the beginning, it had no right to be as good as it was. So I would say it's a 7. I think what did you say? 6.5?
I said 6 or a 7. So
6 or a 7. So we're pretty much in agreement on Aquaman.
Right.
All right. That's all I got for this one. You got anything else you want to say about the King of the Sea?
No.
All right, so if you're not subscribed to this channel, go ahead, do that now. hit that thumbs up button. Really helps to get this channel out there to more people. We will see you in Shazam upcoming, and then we're also going to be talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I am current. I know you're a little farther behind, so I think we're going to try to watch the first 4. This is what, a six episode run, I think, of this. So we're going to do a video after the first 4, and then hopefully a subsequent video on the final 2 in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, so be looking for that.
All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.